Welcome to the Piston Fanatic. I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been the varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. I want to thank all of you for listening. Please subscribe and click on that thumbs up button. The Pistons got a new player. We added a shooter to our roster, Chaz Lanier from University of Tennessee, and he is a lights-out shooter. He is 6'3" 3/4", which really means he's over 6'5", you would call him, with his shoes on. That's with his shoes off. But he made 123 threes for Tennessee, the most in school history, and they've had some great shooters, but he has 6'9" wingspan, and he's a freak athlete. So he was fifth in the combine for vertical jump, and he was fourth in the combine for the fastest agility. So he's fast. So you always wonder how come these guys slide or how they get to this, if he's this crazy athletic and he's got that 6'9" reach, but the main thing is he's got that skill of shooting. So it sounds like he's another Malik Beasley, that he can light up the threes, he can shoot off the move. He's a great shooter off movement and catch and shoot, and there's spots for those guys in the NBA all day, and we can never have enough shooting. And I don't know if we're not going to re-sign Hardaway, but I guess this really gives us a player to replace him with. Not that rookies are hard. So, yeah, I'm excited. He averaged 9.7 points and shot 44% at North Florida his last year there. But then this year at Tennessee, he averaged 18 points, playing in the tough SEC, and he shot 40% on threes. So that's a tough league, man. They got players all over that are just incredible. But he averaged 40% shooting on 8.2 attempts. So he's a high volume shooter. And again, they scout and they play tough competition all day in that league. And so he just wasn't getting open looks. So, it's cool and exciting that we got him. And it's going to be fun to see him in the spring, in the summer league, playing along with Bobby Klitman and with Ron Holland. So that should be fun. So, but here's the thing. We're fans. We're fans, and we all hoped for a trade. We wanted to trade up into the first round, or I was all about trading. We got 15 second round picks in the next 7 years or whatever. And so I thought, man, we could trade up to the get the first pick. There was rumors that the Timberwolves were auctioning off the 31st pick, the first pick in the second round, and I thought we could get Fleming, and I would have loved to got him too. But I'm happy with this pick. If we listened, again, I always constantly preach this, that we need to listen to what Trajan says. And so he had this press conference just recently, and he said, we are going to be patient. We're going to be patient. We're all about the growth of our young players. So he says we always have our ears to the ground. We're always looking for deals without touching our young core and stuff. But, it was real interesting to hear what he said at his press conference recently. And he did say that the injuries in the Eastern Conference has provoked some thought internally. But again, they're not. He's been consistent since his first press conference when he took over about preaching patience, and to at the end of the season, same thing. And then just again this last week, he had a press conference and he just said the same thing. So we got to take him for his word. That's what he meant. But he's, I still do think there's going to be a significant move, that we will sign or do a sign and trade for a free agent, not a blockbuster trade or player, but I still think that that's going to happen, and I'm hoping that it is a stretch four that can shoot the three. And we've talked about different guys on this podcast, Naz Reid, we've talked about Jake LaRavia and Santi Aldama, and those are three of the guys that a lot of us in the Piston land have been wanting. So we'll see what happens. But I do get a big kick out of, there are a lot of people in the media, in the ESPN and different media forums, that really love our Pistons and have talked about who is going to benefit and who could be a fast riser in this Oh, in the Eastern Conference with all these players being injured, and they talk about our Pistons, and Mike Wilbon said that he has his favorites in the East are the Knicks and the Pistons, and yeah, he just says that they can make a huge gain, a huge leap this year. And other people said the same thing. Mike Greenberg said it, on first take on Get Up, and then Bobby Marks. I've heard him say the Pistons could be a big riser this year and benefit from the injuries. And Markieff Morris said it. There's just a lot of guys that have thought too that the Pistons are going to get a chance to make a rise. I'm here to tell you though that the Atlanta Hawks, they, you know, they're going to make a rise. They got Porzingis. They traded for Porzingis. Jalen Johnson was injured all last year, and he's an amazing wing. And Ricochet was great the last part of the season. And they just got lots of good players, and they drafted some good players in the draft this year. But anyway, they got Asa Newell. That's just a freak athlete. He's from Georgia. He can rebound. He's tough, tough player. So they're going to be tough. Even Charlotte, Charlotte's going to be picked to fill a low, but LaMelo, they had a pretty good record when LaMelo played. They were just terrible when he didn't play, but he always is injured. I still don't like the way he plays necessarily, but Brandon Miller, who I love, he was injured a lot of the year, and they made some good picks. They got some guys that they got Con Knipple, who I think everybody likes, that out of Duke, and Leon McNeely, Neely, and the first round is a great shooter. And they got Sion James that was from Duke, and I call him Lou Dort Jr. He's built like Lou Dort and plays defense like Lou Dort. Not that good, but he's very similar type player. So the Hornets are going to be tough. Like I said, the Hawks are going to be really, I think, have a chance to rise up this year. And so it's going to be fascinating. We already talked about Orlando Magic. They getting Desmond Bain. That's a huge get for them, and they added some more players. So going to be wide open. But again, let's go back a little bit to Trajan. So one thing I like that he said. So we never hear. I didn't think that we were going to draft Paul Reed, keep Paul Reed. JB didn't seem to like him that much because based on the fact that even when um, Duran was injured or Stu was injured, he still played very few minutes, like less than 15, and so that made me think that he wasn't in love with him. So, but Trajan said how much that no other player hardly could have played backup center, and he said held water like Paul Reed did in the playoffs when when Stu got injured when we were playing the Knicks. So that was one thing. He said Cade is, going to be stronger and better shape, and he likes our improvement, that our players are improving, and that Ivy's coming off that injury, and he's just playing at a high level and working his butt off, and he's in a really good place. And everybody knows that Asar is going to be stronger than ever, and he wants to be Defensive Player of the Year. We just got a lot of guys, and Holland's going to get stronger. I'm sure he's going to be in the weight room, and who knows if Bobby Clipman could be an asset. We'll have to wait and see. But the big thing is his main focus. He's not going to rush it. Our guys are too young, so our guys are we got 5 guys between like 23 and 21, and so we're not quite ready to take that leap. But if we do, I mean, if the East is weak enough and we could make it, a couple rounds or even to the Eastern Conference Finals, and we could get on a magic run just like the Pacers were, it would be incredible for us. So, yeah, I just am happy about the draft pick that we made. Again, everybody's happy about the draft pick they made. You can't even always know how good they are going to be, even after 1 year or even after 2 years. Sometimes they can start to blossom or do different. But we just have seen, like Nemhart, he was a second round pick or picked at the very end of the first round. There's guys like that all the time that end up being good players that really contribute. I don't even know if Dort was drafted. If he was, it was in the second round. There's just a lot of good players that end up making a difference in the NBA, and hopefully Chaz Lanier can do that. So, yeah, I'm going to be looking forward. I'll be jumping on as soon as I see there's a new deal. There could be at any time. The free agency really just starts June 30th, though. So that's when other teams can start talking. Probably we'll hear some rumors break out then. There still could be a trade before then or a sign-in trade. Wouldn't surprise me if that happens, but we'll be ready to jump on as soon as any of those things happen. And again, there will be free agency. You can start signing people. I think it's July 1st. So, but thanks for listening and be the reason that someone feels heard and cared about, and go Pistons.